Hello and welcome back to 365 Days with mxmtoon, but with a twist. I'm Maya, a singer, songwriter, video maker, and Oakland native. I'm also a huge fan of history. I love untold stories, gross facts, hidden secrets, anything weird, dark, and funky from the past. This month we have some very special episodes. Each week one of my friends will be taking over the podcast to share their favorite deep cuts with you. Rounding out this fun month of guest hosts is the lovely and very, very funny Noah Kahan. You might know him from songs like Hurt Somebody and False Confidence. We also did a collab back in October of 2020 called Pride. Noah, take it away.
It's 365 with Noah Kahan. New facts every day, so don't leave too soon. I'm gonna teach you stuff, no it won't be tough. Gonna go a year till you've had enough. It's 365 with Noah Kahan.
Today in 1990, the Discovery shuttle launched into space to deploy the Hubble Space Telescope into the Earth's orbit. The telescope has helped scientists make numerous discoveries about our vast universe, and it still orbits today. Let's learn more about what the Hubble Space Telescope has taught us and how it came to be. In 1969, the first humans set foot on the moon as part of the United States Apollo 11 mission. And with all of the frenzy around the potential for other space projects, the idea for a space telescope came up in international conversation. It was a logical step. Given the obstacles of Earth's atmosphere, there's only so much we can see from land-bound telescopes. To be fair, though, we have done some impressive stuff here on Earth. See our April 10th episode about the first image of a black hole. Still, it seemed that if we wanted to learn more about outer space, the best way to do it would be to launch a giant telescope into the orbit of the Earth. Planning a space mission takes a long time. There are so many variables that impact the efficacy of a mission. And since space travel is so expensive, we can only do so much so quickly. Astronomer Lyman Spitzer actually first pushed for a space telescope in 1946, but he didn't get to lead the charge in the proposal for the first instrument until 1969. By 1971, NASA granted scientists permission to move forward with the project. But since space exploration is funded by Congress, it's up to the government officials to decide how much money to provide. With costs climbing over $1.5 billion, NASA collaborated with the European Space Agency to generate the necessary capital, and it took until 1977 for the project to get fully funded. The project was originally referred to as just a large space telescope, since the device is 43.5 feet long and over 24,500 pounds. But that's not a very catchy name, so they named it after Edwin Hubble, a pioneering American astronomer who died a few decades prior in 1953. Hubble's biggest discovery proved that the universe was bigger than just our own Milky Way galaxy. And since the telescope's eventual launch in 1990, astronomers have continued to make new discoveries in Hubble's name. However, there are more than a few hiccups along the way to the telescope's success. When the telescope was successfully deployed into the Earth's orbit, people around the world eagerly awaited the first photos from this billion-dollar revolutionary venture. But there was a defect in one of the telescope's mirrors. This aberration was just 1/450th of a millimeter, but it was significant enough that it caused all the telescope's images to come out blurry. What a disappointing turn of events. 3 years later, astronauts journeyed back to the telescope and fixed a mirror, and then we got to see the beautiful images of galaxies and stars and nebulas that we've been waiting decades for. The Hubble Space Telescope still orbits Earth today, making a complete rotation about once every 97 minutes. It circulates at 17,500 miles per hour, and it transmits about 120 gigabytes of data back to us each week. At first, scientists thought it would only last about 15 years, but after 5 separate maintenance missions, the telescope is still chugging along at 31 years old. Edwin Hubble proved that the universe is constantly expanding, but his namesake telescope taught us just how old this growing universe is. 13.7 billion years. That's a lot longer than I've been alive, even. Though Edwin Hubble's research gave us an estimate of a Hubble constant, or a unit that describes how fast the universe is expanding, the astronomer Wendy Friedman used a telescope to pinpoint the exact value of the Hubble constant. She accomplished this by studying images of Cepheid stars, which pulsate in and out of brightness. Since we already knew how long the brightness of these pulses last, Friedman was able to use Hubble photos of these faraway stars to deduce the age of the universe. Crazy. Remember, information only travels as fast as the speed of light, so when the Hubble telescope takes photos from billions of light years away, we're technically seeing into the past, which helps us learn about the formation and expansion of our universe. How do astronomers work on a project like this without having an existential crisis? The Hubble telescope also taught us about dark matter, an invisible substance that makes up the majority of the universe's mass. We discovered that most galaxies contain enormous black holes, which planets, stars, and asteroids sometimes orbit around. When the telescope launched over 30 years ago, scientists hadn't ever found planets outside our galaxy, even if they knew they existed. But now, They've identified over 4,000 planets outside of the solar system. The accomplishments of the telescope go on and on. We've learned that Jupiter's big red spot, a red discoloration caused by massive gas storms, is slowly shrinking, and that Pluto has 4 moons, which is 3 more than Earth, because we only have 1. We've observed the messy formation of stars and the evolution of the asteroid belt. Fortunately, we're living in a time when these mind-blowing space discoveries will only continue. In February 2021, the Perseverance rover landed on Mars, preparing us to find new discoveries in the red planet. From Perseverance to Hubble to all the research taking place back on our planet, I can't wait to see what we learn next. Find us some aliens. We want aliens. We need it. I need to see an alien within the next 4 months. I have a deadline. Please find me an alien. Now let's talk about some music. For today's music fact, we have a very, very special guest who is awesome. Beabadoobee is here to talk about the release of their song, Susie May.
Hey, it's Beabadoobee. I'm going to talk about the release of my song, Susie May. I wrote the song and recorded it with my friend Oscar. It's a personal song and goes through some of the thoughts about having problems and not being able to acknowledge them, hence the lyric, Susie May forgets she's not okay, and having a realization and working through it. A fun fact, I recorded the music video with my boyfriend Soren and his friend Amir, and it was originally for a movie that they were supposed to make. And the whole song is, I guess I somehow linked it to my own personal sadness, but it's about a girl, a prostitute, who goes out at night and I guess uses love and other things to distract herself from what she actually feels. And yeah, no, it was really fun. We filmed it all on Super 8, and I just remember it being really, really cold. It was our first video we ever made together, and yeah, it was really wholesome and fun.
On this day in 2013, I was living in Costa Rica, and I told my host parents that I was going to see a movie. And instead, I went on this bus with all these kids my age, and we all went to this pavilion where we drank alcohol and danced. And I should have known that Costa Ricans tend to be great dancers, and I am a very, very mild guy from Vermont. And I was trying to dance and trying to keep up with their dance styles and their techniques, and I just made myself look like a fool, to the point where literally people circled around me and pointed at me and laughed like I was a zoo animal. And I was doing like Jersey Shore was big at the time. I was just fist bumping. They're all doing like salsa, and Danza Kuduro was playing, and I'm just sitting there offbeat fist bumping, and everyone's laughing at me. And it might have been one of the worst days of my life. I wish I had gone to see a movie, because then I wouldn't have been humiliated. So, but what that did teach me is, it didn't teach me to learn to dance. I just never dance now. It's actually kind of brought me to a place where I just never dance anymore. So that was probably a negative experience, and I'm probably bumming you guys out. But yeah, that was a terrible day. Thank you so much for going back in time with me today. And remember to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts, and come back tomorrow for more stories from yesteryear.
It's 365 with
Noah Kahan.
new facts every day, so don't leave too soon. I'm gonna teach you stuff, no it won't be tough. Gonna go a year till you've had